What's up, guys? Welcome to Handgun Basics. Now, if you're already very familiar with this topic, you need to go ahead and click off here unless you're interested in me talking about the pistols that are on the table, which I will do towards the end of the video. Believe it or not, there are actually men in the sphere who don't know anything about firearms and wouldn't even know how to load one. So that's what we're going to cover today. Alright, to begin with, we're going to go with my 380 ACP pocket pistol. As you can see, this is a tiny little guy. Very useful for when you want to conceal carry, but you're in more revealing clothing or tighter clothing. It's just really tiny. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to make and show clear the weapon. Alright, and that is simply that we're going to make sure that there's no magazine inserted, and we're just simply going to charge the slide. I'm going to try to keep my fingers out of the way. This thing's so small. Alright, bang, nothing. If there was something, it either would have ejected out the ejection port or it would have dropped out of the magazine well. So this weapon is officially empty. Alright, so we're going to get ready to put it into yellow status. Alright, so you take your magazine and you take your appropriate round, which is 380 ACP, and you're simply going to push down and the spring will give, and then you push it into the magazine so that the back of the bullet seats against the back of the magazine. We're simply going to load it to capacity, and you should always know what the capacity of your magazine is. In this case, it's 6. Okay, so you just rinse and repeat until the magazine is fully loaded. Alright, so now we're going to take this weapon to yellow status. Alright, which simply means we're going to insert the magazine into it. So you push the magazine into the magazine well, and as you could see and hear, it clicked. So that means that the magazine is seated properly in the weapon. Right, so it is now in yellow status, which simply means there are rounds in the weapon, but it's not charged. There's nothing in the chamber. We're going to change that. We're going to make that red status now. Alright, that simply means we're going to pull the slide back and let it fly forward. Weapon is now in red status. It's ready to be fired if I put my finger in the trigger well and pull the trigger. Alright, she's ready to go. Always point your weapon in a safe direction and do not put your finger in there unless you're ready to fire. Okay, so now we're going to, as mentioned earlier, we're going to clear the weapon now. All right, in order to clear the weapon, you're simply going to drop the magazine, and you're going to, again, pull the slide back. And of course, it fell down through. There it goes. Fell through the magazine well. It is now clear. It is back to the status that we started with. We're just going to put that round back in the magazine, and we are good to go on that. Hey, what's up, guys? As a little bonus, I figured that I would go over the guns and the rounds that I've had on the table and give you a little bit more context about them. Okay, so we're going to start with the 380 ACP, which is also known as 9mm short, right? Or 9x17. All right, but generally it's known as 380 ACP, stands for automatic Colt pistol. All right, and we're going to put that next to the normal 9mm just to show you the difference between them. Obviously, the cases are going to be different, and the size of the pill, which is the actual projectile itself, is a little bit different. I believe this is a 115 grain 9mm, and the 380 ACP is about 85 grains. And what that means is simply the size and weight, really the weight of the round. All right, now I hear a lot of FUD lore about how weak these rounds are. They're not all that weak, guys. Just because they're not, huge, or at least in comparison to, like, say, the 45 ACP. I hear guys talk about, one-shot drop. That's you can one-shot drop someone with any of the rounds I have on the table. Now, everybody knows about the power of a 357 Magnum, and that's what this is right here. But let me show you the difference between the rounds. Now, you notice that the pill on each of these is about the same. There's not that big of a difference in the size of the pill, but there is one huge difference between them, and that's the size of the case and the powdering. So in other words, speed kills. It's not about the size of the round. It's about shot placement and the speed of the round. Yes, you can, 45 is a good round. I'm not shitting on 45. But what I'm saying is 9mm is just as effective. And you get the bonus of not having to pay all that freaking money for the 45, and more capacity, more rounds in your magazine, excuse me. So there's lots of bonuses to sticking with 9mm, aside from the fact it is a military round, and it is a lot more popular. So in certain circumstances, it would be a lot easier to find than 45 ACP would be. Some people actually believe that this is a 22 long rifle. Some people were surprised that 22 long rifle, then what's it doing in a handgun? Well, look how tiny this thing is. For context, I'll put in the second smallest round that I have here, the 380 ACP. All right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of bodies have been turned cold by 22 long rifle. This is true. But personally, I would not go any smaller than the 380 ACP to protect myself with, right? All right, now about the guns themselves. This is a Magnum Research Micro Desert Eagle. All right, and what it actually is a rebranded pistol that comes from the Czech Republic, known as the Kevin ZP98. Yes, Kevin, like a person's name. These are very popular, or were very popular, as concealed carry guns in Eastern Europe, and I think the early 2000s. But yeah, it's a really cool little gun. It's actually pretty heavy for its size, because how much metal it's made out of, and is not, obviously a Desert Eagle. They just are using the name Micro Desert Eagle to sell more of them. But they are cool little guns. I like their history. All right. And of course, I have my other Czech gun here from the Czech Republic, the CZ 2075 Rami, which is basically a scaled down CZ 75, which was based off the Browning High Power. This is a 9mm. This is one of the guns that I use for concealed carry. I actually have a different version of this that has it, and rather than a safety, it has a decocker on it. So I have two of these. The safety version I have here in my hand is a bit more popular but the decocker version is very rare. So if you can find one of these with a decocker on it, I highly recommend it. I love these guns. As you'll probably see, I'm big on hammer fired. Maybe I'll have to explain the difference between hammer fired and striker fired at some point, but I don't want to get too complicated here. So there was a time where these little 380s had their heyday and lots of people were carrying them, but obviously as 9mm shrank in size, now they are the most common concealed carry. And just to give you an idea of the size difference, I'm going to set this on here. And that is a pretty substantial size difference between these two. But yeah, again, to reiterate, this is as small as I would go. And I mean, as far as caliber is concerned, to protect myself, I recommend personally everybody gets a 9mm. A nice little compact 9mm. Will do the job perfectly. All right, guys, that is it for today. I will catch you in the next one.